Today I'm going to teach you guys 3 traps that every French defense player must know. And especially this first trap that I'm going to teach you happens in over 640,000 games according to the Lichess database. Yes, you've heard it right, 640,000 games. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. We have this opening trap when your opponent plays e4 and you're gonna play the French defense. e6, your opponent goes for d4 and you play d5. This is the advanced variation when your opponent plays e5, advancing the pawn. You're gonna play c5, a very typical position here, and your opponent's going to play c3. That's very standard so far. You're gonna develop your knight to c6 and your opponent develops knight to f3. And then you play your bishop to d7, and this is when the losing move happens. Your opponent is going to play bishop b5. This might happen in some similar positions, so keep your eyes open. If your opponent doesn't play the knight here to defend this bishop, this tactic can happen. So if you want to try to find it for yourself, you can pause the video and try to find it. But the move is very simple, and this position happens over 640,000 times according to the Lichess database. The move here, the winning move here, is knight takes e5, and we win a pawn in this position. Because either way, if your opponent takes the knight or takes the bishop here, they won't be able to recapture correctly, okay? So if they take, for example, the knight, you can go ahead and take the bishop and you win a pawn. But if in this position, instead of taking the knight, they take the bishop, you can go ahead and recapture the bishop with the knight, and you're gonna still be up one pawn. So in this variation, in this trap, we win a pawn. Now let's take a look at 2 more traps where you actually win a piece. This second trap that I'm going to show you guys, it happens over 4,000 times according to the Lichess database. So it all starts with the French defense typical moves, e4, e6, d4, d5. So opponent's going to take, this is the exchange variation, we're going to capture back. After knight f3, bishop d6, this is a very typical move order here. Opponent plays bishop to d3, preparing to castle, we play knight to c6. If the opponent defends the pawn with c3, we play bishop to g4, pinning the knight here against the queen. So we have this very typical move here. And if the opponent plays this move, this is the losing move, bishop to g5, they're actually losing a piece in this position. And believe it or not, guys, this position happens more than 4,000 times according to the Lichess database. And what is the problem with this position? The problem is that this bishop is actually only defended by this knight, and we can eliminate the defender by just taking this knight, and then this bishop would be hanging and we can capture it. Okay, so that's exactly what we're gonna do. We're gonna take the knight, and now no matter what white does, they're gonna end up losing a piece. If they recapture the bishop here with the queen, let's see if what happens. We're just going to capture the bishop with our queen and we are up a piece. But if they go for the queen and they capture our queen with their bishop, we can capture their queen with our bishop, and then they're gonna have to do something about their bishop. They can try to drop it back maybe, and if they drop it back, we just drop our bishop back the same way. And if they try to desperado and sacrifice the bishop for the pawn, we just capture the bishop, and after they capture our bishop, we emerge in this position up a piece. So this is exactly how this trap goes, guys. So be careful about this move right here. If your opponent goes for this move, they're actually losing a piece because you can remove this defender and then this bishop will be hanging, okay? So in this position, we win a piece. In the next trap, we also win a piece. Let's take a look. So in this trap, we also win a piece, but this is a bit more rare. It happens 450 times according to the Lichess database, but it's still worth taking a look at. So typical French defense position, e4, e6, d4, d5, knight to c3, and we develop the bishop to b4. This is the win-aware variation. Opponent's gonna play e5, which is the most common move. We're going to play queen to d7, which is a very unusual move here in this position. Opponent's going to play knight to f3, and we play b6. And believe it or not, guys, in 450 games, this move, bishop to b5, was played. And although it looks like you're just giving away a piece, white's just giving away the piece, 42% of the people, guys, couldn't find the right move. When we have two winning moves here, we have two that's why we should work on tactics. We should work on tactics to spot these things. And in 42% of the cases here, guys, people played this move here, c6, giving white the chance, the opportunity to drop the bishop back. And actually, this is winning if you take the bishop here, because this knight is pinned, so they cannot recapture. And if you take the knight, it's check, so they don't have time to take your queen. They're gonna have to lose the piece. So let's take a look. If you take with the queen here, if you just take the knight, the bishop, the knight cannot recapture because it's pinned to the king. So the bishop is spinning, so they cannot do that. They can try to attack your queen here. You're just going to capture with check. After they recapture, you can just drop your queen back here, or even here, attacking the pawn. You just drop back your queen and you're up a piece. But of course, your opponent doesn't have to go for that. Actually, you don't have to go for that. You can go ahead and take this knight right away, and after you take it, with check, your opponent won't have time to capture your queen here, so they will end up losing a piece. So they can recapture the bishop, and in that case, you just capture their bishop, and you are up a piece. So in all these three cases, you will emerge up a piece, or at least a pawn in the first case. But the first tactic happens very, very often. I've had it in my game several times, and you can safely win a pawn. And that's a trap that every French player must know. So guys, if you like this video, consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. Leave a comment down below. And as always, I see you guys in the next one.